Kristen. I haven't filmed a video, obviously, in a really long time, and I just wanted to make one for my YouTube fans, just to kind of let them know what's gone on the past few months in my life and why I haven't been filming or working as much. The idea of this really is just to A, let you know why I have short hair now, and B, just to kind of make more people aware of their bodies and what's going on, and really just to kind of tell everyone just to listen to your body. You know, if it's doing something that's abnormal, then get it checked out. It's better to be safe than sorry. So really, I just want to share my story with y'all, and hopefully, you know, this will help even just one person out there. If you'd rather read the story, you can go to my blog, and I'll put a link to it below. It's billicheck.blogspot.com. So basically, what has happened is I had to have brain surgery. I had brain surgery 4 months ago at the end of February, and I don't have cancer. Get that out of the way first. I had to have brain surgery because I had a brain tumor, and I had no idea that I had this brain tumor. For about 4 years, I had been experiencing what I thought was hormonal migraines, and I would get them every single month. During the week that I'm on my period, I would get the migraines, and I would usually have like anywhere from 1 to 3 migraines, and literally for 4 years, I always thought they were just hormonal since they only came during my period. Nothing ever gave me any reason to think anything different. I never got them any other time, and for some reason they only came when I was taking birth control. The times that I haven't been on birth control, I wouldn't get the migraines. I would only get them when I was on birth control. I know this is a lot of personal information, but really I'm just telling you just because hopefully, you know, if there's someone else that's going through the same situation, then hopefully it'll help them too. But this is kind of TMI, a little bit personal. My husband and I have been married for 2 years, and at, let's see, the end of February, we decided that we were going to try to have a baby. So I was supposed to start a new pack of birth control on a Monday, which was February 20th. And since we were going to try to have a baby, I didn't start my new pack of birth control. The week before was my period week. So I had my normal migraines that week. Then on the 20th, I didn't start my new pack of birth control pills. So that was kind of starting an extra week that I was off of my birth control. Well, during that week, my body felt like a little bit clumsy. It wasn't anything at all to be worried about. It was just little bitty things, like I would be walking and just trip, but it would happen kind of frequently to where I thought, what is wrong with me? Like, why do I keep tripping, you know? And so I just thought it was kind of weird, but I thought, well, maybe I'm just stressed out, or maybe I'm extra tired or something. I was working a lot, so I thought maybe I'm just tired, not really paying attention to what I'm doing. But then also during those next few days, I started experiencing more migraines, and they were like 20 times worse than the migraines that I had been having for the past 4 to 5 years. And so I thought, this is really weird, but I thought, well, maybe it's just my body just kind of like getting used to not being on birth control. Maybe I just need like a little while to adjust since I was on it for so long. Maybe my body's just kind of thinking I'm still on my period, and that's why I'm, you know, the migraines are continuing. But the migraines that I was having were like in one spot, and it was just right here on top of my head. I mean, I could literally like point to the spot that I could feel it. It was in a really concentrated area. It was really strange. It wasn't like my whole head like it was before. It was just in one spot, and I kept saying, like, it's really weird. I can just feel my migraine just right here. But I still didn't really think that much of it. And I'm a huge researcher and a huge planner. Like, I like everything all planned out, and I like to know everything about everything or as much as I can possibly know. So of course I get online and I start researching, like, you know, migraines becoming worse after getting off birth control. And so all this stuff comes up, and it's like all these forums, you know, where people talking, and usually they give you the worst case scenario whenever you start researching like medical stuff online, and which is not smart, by the way. Don't ever do that. If you really think something's wrong, go to your doctor. Do not look it up online like I did. So I started reading, and everyone's saying, oh yeah, you know, when we went off birth control, we had the same thing happen. You know, we would have these horrible migraines, and they got worse, but it's just your body adjusting. Don't worry. We're calling it, they kept referring to it as an ice pick migraine, which is exactly what it felt like. It literally felt like an ice pick, like in this one spot. It was really strange. And so I thought, okay, well, obviously this is a common thing because all these people keep writing about it, and that's the only thing I'm reading on all these different blogs and everything, so it has to be that. So I didn't even think anything of it. The 20th was the day that I went off birth control, February 20th. On the 25th, I woke up that morning, I felt totally fine. I get to my studio, and I had an 11 o'clock appointment that day. Okay, normally, just so you know, Saturdays are usually totally booked for me. I mean, it is rare that I do not have a Saturday that's totally booked, or that I have a Saturday that I don't have anything. That's completely rare. I have to take my Saturdays off like way in advance to even have that. So this one particular Saturday, I had an 11 o'clock appointment and I had a 4 o'clock appointment. So I had like a 4-hour gap basically in my day. And I thought, well, I'll just stay at my studio and just finish up some work. Right around noon when I was eating, my client that was supposed to be at 4 o'clock called me and asked if she could come at like earlier. So she comes at 1, which that whole scenario is so rare. I can't even begin to tell you. Like, I mean, I do weddings, and normally my Saturdays are completely booked. So for that to happen and for her to call and want to come earlier, that never happens ever. And so she came at about 1 o'clock, and around 2:15 that day, during her makeup lesson, my whole right side of my body went completely paralyzed. I could not move anything on the right side of my body. My arm, my hand, my fingers, my toes, nothing. I couldn't stand. I was sitting at the time that I went paralyzed, and I literally, it was just like you just cut my body in half and the right side was completely not working. And so I'm panicking. I couldn't speak for like 5 to 10 minutes. I was just like uttering like syllables. I couldn't even say like a full word. And then when my speech came back, it was like I could say something, but I really had to think about what I was saying. So I just knew that was what all the other stuff I had felt during that week, the tripping and the crazy migraines. I knew that was what that was leading up to. The crazy thing is, if my client hadn't have come earlier, I would have been at my studio all by myself. I share my studio with 2 to 3 other people, and there's usually always someone here, but on Saturdays there's not. Usually it's just me. And so I would have been the only one here all by myself. I would not have been able to move. I probably would have been sitting down, and my phone probably would have been on my iPod dock across the room. And I don't know what I would have done if my client wouldn't have been there. I mean, I'm like so grateful that she switched her appointment and that happened. And I don't think it was just like a coincidence that happened. I think, definitely God had something to do with that, because that just never happens. And so we go to my husband picks me up, we go to the ER, they run all these tests on me, and I'm sort of in panic mode and sort of in, I just really cannot believe this is happening mode. And they come back and they tell us that they found a huge tumor on this part of my brain. And it was on the outside of my brain, but it was pushing down on my brain. And this area controls like your motor skills. So the left part of my brain was controlling the right part of my body, and since it was in the motor skills area, it was controlling my motor skills on my right side, which is why I went paralyzed. The tumor was the size of a tennis ball, which is crazy to me to even think about. And apparently it had been there for 10 to 15 years, which is pretty much half my entire life. And so immediately they get a room at the best hospital for me. And so the ambulance takes me to the hospital. By that time I was starting to get a little bit of feeling back in the right side of my body, but it was still just really weird. It wasn't, I had to have help walking and all that stuff. The thing that is just really crazy to me is, I know I mentioned that I'm normally booked all day long on Saturdays, but also normally Saturdays I'm on location, and normally there's a few different locations that I'm going to. So since I do weddings, normally I'm going from hotel to hotel or like house to house, and dragging all my stuff around. And I just really, I just think it's so cool that I was at my studio with my client who called to come earlier, and I wasn't driving I don't know what I would have done if I would have been driving or, you know, doing a wedding and I couldn't finish, you know, a bride on her wedding day. I mean, even though the medical thing is like very serious, but still, I've always like truly felt that God has like had my back. I keep using that phrase like God has my back, because I really and truly feel like that He does. And there's been so many times in my life where I have felt like that, and this was just kind of like the beginning of another time where I just knew, I just had this little bit of peace in me that was just like, you know, even though all this is going on, it's so crazy and random, I just knew that He was going to be there for me and that was going to be okay. I knew it. I felt it. And even though I was scared, of course, and you know, didn't know what to think or didn't know what was happening or anything, I just still felt just like a calmness, and it was actually pretty refreshing. When we got to the emergency room, I thought it was really strange because I've only been in the emergency room probably a few times in my whole life, and every time that I remember going, it's always packed. I mean, tons of people. You have to wait around forever to get in, and it's just really not the most pleasant place to be, especially when you're panicking, what's wrong with me? And this emergency room, we were the only ones in there. All of the nurses and doctors were coming in there to help us, and it was just really cool how it just, I mean, literally everything was just starting to fall into place that day. And I just thought, you know what, if everything so far has already been pretty much like a miracle, that everything has just happened the way that it has, then I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that everything is going to be okay. The crazy part is, and this again is too much information, but I was supposed to start ovulating the Saturday that all of this happened, like that exact day. I had taken an ovulation test, and that was the day that I was supposed to start ovulating. So obviously, like, that was the first day we were going to start trying to have a baby. And it's just like God was like, hang on, you have one little thing we need to take care of first. Once we do that, then you're fine, you know. But I think it's really cool, the timing of it. I mean, I don't know what I would have done if I would have been pregnant, you know, and had to go through all this and not be able to take some of the medicine, or risk losing the baby, or what. I mean, there's no telling what would have happened. So I'm very grateful that it happened when it did. We got to the hospital, and they immediately upgraded us to our own little, like, kind of suite there, which was really nice and really quiet, and I didn't have to share a room with anyone. And we didn't even ask them, they just automatically did it, which I thought was so great and wonderful. The first thing they wanted to do was an MRI. They had done CAT scans at the emergency room. So at the hospital, they wanted to do an MRI. So they take me down to the basement, and there was this sweet nurse who was down there, and my hair, as y'all know from my other videos, was like down to here. And this nurse had to shave little patches of my hair just underneath my hair. You couldn't even tell, in order to put the little things on there to do the MRI. So she puts a little trash can in front of me, and she's like shaving little spots of my hair, and you know, throwing them in the trash can. And she said, "Is that bothering you that you know, to wash your hair, like this long piece of hair, watch me shave it and then throw it in the trash can in front of you? Do you want to move the trash can back?" And I was like, "No, it's fine." You know, honestly, it was not bothering me. And so, and at this point, I just felt so much peace. Like, I was just like, you know what? This obviously happened for a reason. I have to get the tumor out, so I don't really have a choice. And so anyway, so she's, you know, doing a few more pieces, and she said, "Are you sure that's not bothering you, watching your hair go in the trash can?" And I was like, "I'm positive. I promise you, it's not bothering me at all." And so she said, "Okay." And so she did shaved a few more pieces. And then she said, "You know what? It's bothering me that you're having to watch your hair go in the trash can, so I'm going to move the trash can behind you." So I was like, "Okay, that's fine." And so she moved it behind me, and she said, "I'm sorry, I just that just bugged me. You know, I know how I would feel if that were me. And I said, it really honestly does not bother me at all. I promise you. It's like, that's the least of my worries. My hair is, I could care less, you know. And I said, and besides, God's got my back. And so she got quiet for like a few minutes. And then she said, you know what? Something you said really stuck out to me. And I was like, what? You know, and she said, you said God's got my back, and you're exactly right. He does have your back. And I just thought, wow, like, I remember saying that, obviously, but I wasn't like, I mean, it was just like I knew it, you know. God's going back. I know He's going back, you know, but it made such an impact on her. And so she, when I was about to go on the MRI, she put a little shower cap thing on me, and she wrote on the shower cap, she said, I'm going to write that on the back of your shower cap, because you're right, and He's going to go with you into that surgery. And so on the back of my little shower cap, she wrote, God's got my back. The coolest thing, I know I keep saying this, but the coolest thing was just the peace that I had during all of this. I mean, if someone were to told me that this was all going to happen to me, I probably would have freaked out. But the fact that it just happened, and just the timing that it needed to happen, was just amazing. And the nurse, just everyone there just could not get over like how much peace I had. It was, I mean, it was even kind of blowing my own mind. And the nurse that was shaving my little pieces of my hair said, so how long have you known that you've had to have this surgery? And I was like, well, a few hours. And she was like, really? And I know she just thought, oh my gosh, like, why? It was like, she just could not understand why I was so calm and why I was not panicking or crying or freaking out. It was like she just thought that, like, assumed that maybe I had known for like a couple years or something I was gonna have to have the surgery, and this was just the time that I chose to have it. So the next day I had a surgery where they, kind of a minor surgery where they put a camera at my groin in order to go up and look at the tumor to make sure they're kind of cutting in the right spot. That surgery made it really, really hard to walk and sit up and everything. You don't realize like how much you use that muscle right there. But oh my gosh, that, I keep telling people, they're like, oh my gosh, how's your head? I'm like, my groin surgery was like way more like painful afterwards than my, you know, brain surgery, which that's probably not true because I was on all kinds of medicine, but it was so difficult to walk and to sit up and everything. And the cool part about everything is I landed in the best hospital. I didn't even pick my hospital that I went to, but it just so happened to be one of the very, very best. It was the Methodist Hospital in Houston. And the surgeon that was going to be doing my brain surgery was actually not supposed to even be working that weekend. And all of the nurses just kept saying, oh my gosh, you were so lucky that you got Dr. Baskin to do your surgery, because he is truly the best. And one of the nurses, he had operated on 2 people in her family for cranial surgery, and the other nurses were just like, I mean, hands down, he's the best. Like, if we had brain surgery, we would pick him. No, you know, we work here, we know everyone, we would still pick him to do our surgery. So that made me feel really good. All the nurses and doctors and everything that there were just absolutely amazing, so attentive. I mean, made me feel 100% comfortable and confident and everything. I could not have asked for a better experience. So after they asked me tons of questions about my medical history and my birth control and everything, at first they were kind of leaning towards the idea that possibly my birth control could have caused the tumor. But once they found out that it had been there for about 10 to 15 years, they decided that possibly it could have been masking the effects of the tumor. So the hormones from my birth control were probably covering up all the migraines as I was taking birth control, which makes complete sense because, you know, you take birth control for 3 weeks and then you're off for a week for your period. Those 3 weeks I was on birth control every month, no migraines at all. The week that I was off during my period, that's when I had my migraines. And then the extra week that I was off before the surgery, you know, when we were trying to have a baby, that's when I had worse migraines. So it makes total sense. All I could do after they told me the tumor had been there for 10 to 15 years was to think back on all these like big events in my life and think, oh my gosh, I had a tumor then, you know? I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, 2 years ago when I got married, I look at my wedding pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh, I had a tumor, a huge tumor then. And I didn't even know it, you know? And then I think back on, like, you know, when I was in school or my graduation, all these different events in my life, and I'm just like, I had a tumor then. I mean, that is just so strange to me, just to look back at pictures from like 10 years ago and just think, oh my gosh, I had a tumor, you know? That's just, it's really mind-blowing. During the whole time that we were at the hospital and surgery, my husband was so wonderful about updating everyone on Facebook and keeping everyone updated on the progress and what was going on, and you know how everything was going, and I had so many people just come out of the blue on Facebook and Twitter and you know, through emails and text messages and phone calls, that it was absolutely overwhelming in the most awesome way ever. Just tons of prayers and just encouragement, and I mean, meant so much to me. I swear, like, that's what helped me heal faster. I just, like, reading all of those things, I mean, I would be totally fine in the hospital, just totally, like, everything's gonna be totally fine, I'm gonna be great, you know, the tumor's gonna come out, I'm not gonna have any more problems after that. And I would be fine, like not a tear in my eye, you know, and I would go and read my Facebook and just read hundreds of like comments or posts or, you know, pictures that people would post, and I would just be in tears. I mean, it was so sweet to see like how many people loved and cared about me. It just meant like so very much to me. If you're watching this and you're one of those people, thank you, and you have no idea how much it meant to me to read and, you know, get the phone calls and the text messages and the prayers and all that stuff. It just really and truly, it meant so very much to me. My dad, who lives 3 hours away, and my brother, who lives about almost an hour away, were actually in Vegas the week before, and my husband and I actually thought we were very close to going to Vegas with them, and for some reason we just thought, you know what, we probably shouldn't take a trip right now, it's, you know, whatever. And so they were scheduled to come back that Saturday that I went to the hospital. The crazy thing is that literally as I was on the way to the hospital in the ambulance, my dad and brother were flying home from Vegas, had no clue about what went on. They land and they get all these text messages and phone calls about home in the hospital, and they immediately come over to the hospital. So I thought it was really cool, again, perfect timing, I mean seriously, that my dad was going to be in town because he was flying back in from Vegas, and he lives 3 hours away, and that they could just immediately come, you know, right after they get off the plane. Right when I just got checked into the hospital and everything. It was like absolutely perfect timing. The cool thing is, you know, it was one of the few times in my life when my whole entire family was together, which meant so very much to me. And I just remember laying in that hospital bed when my whole family was in the room with me, my whole immediate family, and I thought, you know what, if my brain tumor and, you know, me having to have brain surgery means that my whole family comes together, then it's totally worth it to me. And so that was just kind of like a bittersweet moment for me. It was worth going through all that just to, you know, be with my family all at one time. On February 28th, 3 days after everything happened, I had my brain surgery, and the surgery was about 6 hours long, and that was the one time that I really got pretty nervous. It was right when they were you know, wheeling me down to go have surgery. I just remember thinking, of course, probably what anyone would think, what if I don't make it, you know? And if I do make it, what if something happens to where I can't do what I could do before? So I was very nervous, but thankfully the anesthesia kicked in no time, and I was out and had my surgery. And for the next couple of days after that was pretty much a blur because I still had so much anesthesia in me. I really don't remember a whole lot, but you know, the surgeon said everything went great, and you know, that I would probably need about 3 to 4 weeks of physical therapy to kind of learn how to walk again. The cool thing is that when I was at the hospital, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 physical therapy sessions in the hospital, just real quick ones, probably 15 minutes, and that was all I needed. They were like, you're fine, you're totally fine, you're gonna be walking in no time. The only thing that was bothering me was just I was really sore from that surgery with my groin the couple of days before, but other than that, I was fine. I just had to use a little walker for a little while, and just kind of gained my balance back and my strength back more than anything. After the surgery, the surgeon told my family that he had to leave a small piece of the tumor in my brain because almost all of the tumor was on top of my head pressing down on my brain, but there was one little piece of tumor that was actually connected to blood vessels that went down deep inside my brain, and I guess that's just really risky to actually have to do surgery inside your brain. And so he said that he would just leave a tiny piece there and kind of cap it off and monitor it, you know, like every 6 months go get an MRI, and if it started growing, that it would easily be killed with radiation. Which, knowing that, like, if the tumor was still in my brain after that, that would just be very weird to me. And I feel like it would always be in the back of my head, like, oh my gosh, what if it started growing again, you know? And I really was not looking forward to possibly have to go through radiation. So I was in the hospital for 8 days, and on the 7th day, they were gonna let me go home, but I was so nervous to go back to my everyday life because I was so used to all those nurses coming in and just basically waiting on me hand and foot, and just always having someone there. And it just kind of scared me, like, to go back to reality again. After something like that happened, I just thought, what if something happens and, you know, I'm not in the hospital where they can immediately take care of me? And it just really freaked me out. And I remember just losing it. I just burst into tears to one of the sweet doctors there on the 7th day, and I just told him, I'm scared to go back home. I'm scared to go back to, like, life, basically, you know? And so he said, we'll let you stay 1 more day, and, you know, you're going to be totally fine. So on the 8th day, I went home, and it was just kind of a weird experience. My husband had to do everything for me. It was literally like he had a baby. And he had to bathe me. He had to help me walk. I had a walker. I could not walk without my walker. I couldn't bend over to pick anything up. I couldn't bend over to where my head was lower than my heart. I had no strength in my legs, hardly at all, just from, I guess, laying around so much. And so I couldn't, like, bend down to pick anything up. I just felt like totally helpless, and I had to get lots and lots of sleep in order for my brain to heal. And it was just kind of a hard time. I had a huge scar. You can't see it now because my hair is grown out so much, but it was literally all down that way. So it was like a big C. And I had staples all in it. The surgeon left a big patch of my hair down here so that I could, like, wear a hat and still look like I had hair, but it was so, like, knotty and ratted out from just laying in the hospital bed for so long and not washing it, which is really gross. But so I ended up just having my sister shave the rest of my head off and or hair off. And I remember after she shaved my head, I remember looking in the mirror, and it was like just all of a sudden then, I mean, at that moment, I just thought, oh my gosh, like, it just hit me. Like, every emotion that I probably should have felt all throughout my surgery and during the hospital and everything just like hit me. I just thought, it just felt so real all of a sudden, everything that happened. And I just thought, I cannot believe this happened to me. And it was really just sort of like a freak out experience. Like, I mean, here I am, my head is like loaded with staples with a huge scar, and I just thought, how in the world did I get here? You know? I mean, I'm used to always being on the go. I'm used to working my butt off, and I love my job so much, and it was really hard for me to stop and put everything on hold and let everyone do stuff for me. It was really, really, that was the hardest part for me, and just to like stop and relax and heal. About 10 weeks after my surgery, my surgeon wanted me to come in and do a follow-up MRI so that he could just kind of check everything and make sure I was healing properly. That whole week before, I was really nervous to go back because I was going back to the same hospital that, you know, everything happened at, and it just kind of made me a little uneasy to go back. And but I just felt like in my heart, I felt that that tumor was not going to be there anymore. Even though he had left that small piece that was attached to the blood vessels in my brain, I just thought, it's not going to be there. I know it's not going to be there. And I just kept thinking that, like, even without even like really thinking about it, it was just in the back of my mind, like, it's not going to be there. And I mean, just like I knew it. And so then I thought, well, maybe I should like pray that it's not going to be there, of course. And so I just kept praying, like, you know, I prayed that it would just die off, that it would not be there, that when I go back to do my MRI, that it would just, that they wouldn't be able to find anything there, that it would be completely dissolved. I went back to do my MRI, and a few days later I scheduled an appointment with my surgeon to look at the results. And we got there, and he puts the results up on the computer screen, kind of like on a little like digital kind of video thing. And so he's like, you know, looking at different angles in my brain, and kind of scrolling back and forth. So he looked at the top, and he looked from behind, and all the different angles that the MRI had gotten. And he was like, wow, I don't see anything. And so he kept scrolling and switching like angles, and he's like, do you see anything on here? And so he keeps scrolling, and I was like, no. And he's like, there's nothing there. It's completely gone. There's no tumor left at all whatsoever. And those words, like, I mean, oh my gosh, I cannot explain to you the feeling that I had then. It was like such, I don't even know what word to use. I want to say cool, but that's it's beyond cool. Such a cool feeling to, I mean, from point A to now, you know, it's like there's nothing left. He left something there, and there's nothing left. It's gone. And just seeing that on the screen, you know, the before and the after picture, which the video is on my blog too if you want to look at it. Before, it's this huge, massive tumor taking over my brain. I just have the back view on my blog, but the top view was like, whoa, I cannot believe that was in my head, you know. And the after view is just clean, nothing there. And I just thought, oh my gosh. I felt like God was just like, I told you, I had your back. I told you. And so that was just such a like heartwarming moment for me. There is absolutely no way, of course I believe in God, but there is absolutely no way that I can ever deny His hand throughout this entire experience. I mean, if I didn't believe in Him before, I most definitely, seeing how everything played out, I most definitely would believe in Him now. And I did believe in Him before, but now it's just like one more thing to add to my list of really cool things that He's done in my life. My husband and I keep saying, we couldn't have planned it better, even if we tried this whole thing. I mean, how perfectly did everything just literally just like unfold for us, and just in the most perfect timing. So many good things came out of the situation. I mean, it was truly a miracle, and I am 100% normal and fine. It's exactly 4 months today from my surgery, and even at 2 months I was like, fine. I mean, now I feel perfect. My energy level is back. I have no more migraines. I have full movement of the right side of my body. And I can walk totally normal. I mean, I am fine. I'm totally fine. I could have gotten so depressed and upset and beat down and frustrated and stressed out for this whole situation just messing up my plans for my life, which were, you know, to have a baby and blah blah. But I didn't. I just, my plans, or you know, what I thought were my just perfectly, you know, planned out life would have probably been totally messed up and ruined and had a totally different outcome if this wouldn't have happened. Now I have the chance to have a healthy baby while I'm healthy being pregnant. And you know, when I do get pregnant, and still, you know, do makeup. That's my passion. It's just like a triple blessing. I mean, it really turned out better than I could have ever even thought of planning. My biggest lesson from all of this is to slow down. To take time for the things and the people who mean the most to me, and not get so caught up in work, and also to not be a planner and think that I can plan out and control everything in my entire life, because I can't. I can try, but obviously God's plans and everything are way better than mine, and He knows what He's doing. I just know that, you know, no matter what happens from here on out, that it's going to be okay. You know, I've been through a huge road bump, you know, and if I can get through that, I feel like I can get through anything. The main reason for making this video is there are so many women out there with hormonal migraines who haven't gotten an MRI and gotten them checked out, and who are on birth control. And I mean, I'm sure most of them, it's nothing. I'm sure most of them are hormonal migraines, but don't be like how I was and just think, oh, they're just hormonal migraines, there's no need to get them checked out. It's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to get an MRI and know that it's not anything serious, that, you know, that you don't have a tumor or anything else going on. Go to a neurologist, get an MRI. I mean, especially if you're experiencing migraines, that's like such an important part of your body. It's your brain, your head, you know, it controls your entire body. I mean, not to scare anyone, but I'm so fortunate that I'm not, you know, that nothing's wrong with me right now, because I've heard so many stories after my surgery about people that had brain tumors, and, you know, one person had the brain tumor, same exact story, went paralyzed on one side of their body, but after the surgery they never got their motor skills back on that side of their body, so they were still paralyzed after the surgery. And I'm very thankful that I did get my motor skills back. If I can help one person out with this video, then my mission is accomplished. Because when I was researching online to find out what was wrong with me before my surgery, there was nothing. And so hopefully this will reach the people that need to hear it and see it. And hopefully if someone's going through any type of medical problem or cancer or anything, hopefully this will be inspiring to them to know that everything's going to be okay, and you can only do so much. You just have to choose to be positive and to basically just trust God that everything's going to be okay no matter what. I mean, maybe you have a much worse situation than I did, but just being positive about it, and just, you know, keep laughing. Like, just think of all the positive things in your life and just focus on those things, because that's truly, I mean, that's all that matters. If you get stressed out and you get like depressed and upset and everything, I almost feel like that just makes it worse. So that's where I've been the past 4 months when I haven't been making videos, and hopefully from here on out I'll be making videos, but I just wanted to do this to help other people and also let you know why, you know, my hair is short now. And thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching.